Hi, I'm Frances O'Rourke Dow, President of the Quilt Alliance Board, and this year I'm recording my end-of-the-year message so you can see lots of amazing pictures of all the great work we've done in 2021. Before I became a quilter, I wasn't much of a group person, but one thing quilters seem to have in common is the desire to connect with other quilters, and I'm no different. Now I participate in online quilting groups, connect with quilting friends via Instagram, and belong to a local quilt guild and several national quilting organizations. I've been a member of the Quilt Alliance for nearly 7 years, and as board president, I'm enormously proud of how we've not only stayed connected to the quilting community during COVID, but how we've forged new connections during this difficult time. Now approaching our 30th year, the Quilt Alliance is more of an alliance than ever. We found new partners and new platforms to share our mission of documenting, preserving, and celebrating quilt stories. Some of the projects we worked on in 2021 include Textile Talks. This year, we've continued to collaborate with other quilting organizations and our sponsors to present a second season of online discussions about quilts, quilt making, and quilt history. This weekly lecture series allowed us to expand our reach and educate and inspire. These recorded talks can be watched live for free thanks to our generous industry partners who have funded the series, and all of them are available afterwards via YouTube. Running Stitch Podcast. Through this podcast series, we're connecting a new audience to our S.O.S, Quilters Save Our Stories oral history collection, the largest such collection of quilt-related oral histories in the world, a grassroots effort made possible by volunteer interviewers. Season 3 launches later this month. QTM, Quilters Take a Moment. For the second year in a row, we've held our biggest community event virtually. This year's QTM featured Dr. Carolyn Maslumi's fascinating QSOS interview with quilt artist Bisa Butler. We also heard from 38 presenters who shared quilts and quilt stories, their own and those of other quilters, twice the number of speakers from our 2020 event. Just as importantly, we've continued to collect and share quilting stories in ways that everyone can access them. Through our Story Share programming, we've collected stories of memory quilts, museum quilts, and more from quilt makers across the country and beyond. We partnered with Sacred Threads to bring their artist stories to life when their in-person event was postponed, and took the QTM audience to quilt museums they wouldn't ordinarily be able to visit. Our virtual programming means that anyone can participate, and we offer training and support to capture stories in your community, wherever it is. Everything we do, every connection we make, supports our mission to document and preserve America's rich quilting history. Why is this work important? Well, I can think of several reasons. Quilt making is the last American traditional craft still widely practiced across all socioeconomic, racial, and ethnic lines. Quilts are documents of women's lives, of American folk life, and of domestic life throughout our country's history. Quilt history is American history, women's history, domestic history, and art history. But perhaps the reason that's closest to my heart is that each quilt story the Quilt Alliance preserves is a story that might have disappeared if not recorded. I hope you'll join me in supporting the work that the Quilt Alliance does, work that's made possible by support from our members, corporate sponsors, volunteers, and generous donors. As we start the kickoff to our 30th year, we want to keep making connections. Every dollar helps to save a quilter's story. You can support our work in a sustained way by setting up a monthly or yearly recurring donation and join as a member to show that you value the work we do. Thanks so much for your support.